Hey everyone, this is the tutorial for the In the Zone template. This one's super simple and easy, so it'll probably be a fairly quick tutorial. I just wanted to create something just a little more stripped down and simple. Not as much going on. I know a lot of teams and schools and some of you photographers just like the more kind of stripped down look. So I just wanted to kind of play around with something with, and this is kind of what we came up with. Anyways, I'll kind of get right into it. As you see, there's not a lot of layers down here. I'll just kind of walk through each layer and then we'll kind of play around with each one. So this first set is your vignette. It's just a little darkening around the edges. You can leave that on, or you can turn it off completely, or you can come in here and just try one or the other, or just get in here in the opacity and raise it and lower it even more. I have both of them at about 10%, but they're stacked in there, so there's two. But again, feel free to cut each one off or all of them off together, or if you want it even darker, raise that opacity in them. All right, then right here you have the bottom text. That's just everything down here. So right now I just have this gradient color on there. You can turn all the layers off altogether. You can get your text tool over here, come in here and select all, and just come in here and change your colors if you want. Or you can turn those layer effects back on and just control the colors there. The only way I would turn that off and do each one individually is if I wanted each text layer kind of its own color. So I'll turn that back on and we'll kind of go through what each one of these are doing. So here I'll zoom in even more. So right now it's just not too much going on with it. I kind of just have the gradient. I like that for a simpler look, or you can just do, you can just do a solid color overlay. That looks cool too for a simple look. If you want to fancy it up a little bit, come in here and add this bevel to it if you want. Also have the stroke. It's hard to see until you do a different color or add that drop shadow. So now you can see it's just a very subtle bevel layer, not too much going on there with it. You can get in here and play around with the depth and stuff if you want to get a little crazier with it. Whoops, sorry. Or you can just cut that stroke off altogether and kind of see a little bit more of that bevel effect. Again, it's just very subtle. Here, I'll zoom in a little more. It's kind of on and off. Again, you can double click. Sorry, I'm kind of moving quick. You can just double click right here on any one of these effects. It'll kind of open that whole panel up where you can kind of go through them all. So here, let's see. Let's do a little bit more of a bevel, not too much. Have this set to smooth. Let's try like a hard chisel. Or sorry, maybe a soft chisel. Bring that back down a little, and I'm just going to bring that softening up just a hair. So yeah, you can get in here and just really kind of play around with that if you want. If you want to change the color, just same thing, just double click the color overlay, click in this little color panel here, and just move around. You can change it to whatever you want. I want to hit cancel here. Same thing, I want to turn that off. I want to turn the gradient overlay back on, and it works the same. So I'm just going to double click, actually single click this gradient area, and then you can, with this particular one, it's got 3 boxes here. It's going from dark blue to light blue to dark blue. So you can just double click any one of these boxes. Just kind of pick where you want this end to start. We can just get weird with it. Just for example, I can show you. Same thing, do red on the other side. And as you see, well, it's hard to see. Well, I want to cancel just because I don't want to mess it up, but this is basically going from red to light blue to red. So yeah, you can get in there and play around with that. Let's see, I'm going to just turn my basic gradient on that I had earlier. And that's really it. If you want to get in here and change it, just grab your text tool. Get in here. Let's see, we'll do the other team I work with is called the Mustangs. So we'll just get in here and type that out. Again, what I did is just grab the text tool, clicked anywhere in that, and I did Command or Control A to select all, and I just started typing. If you want to change these curves in it, look up here on the top, you'll see this T with a curved line under it, and get in there and kind of play with that. Sometimes, depending on the length of the text you put in there, it might curve too much or not enough. So you just get in here and play with that if you want as well. It is set to lower arc and horizontal. I'm just going to cancel that. If your text starts running off the edges, I'm going to click in here, do Command All again. You can either transform to make it smaller, or you can open up your character panel here. If you don't see it, just go up in Window. You should find your character panel. And this VA with the arrows going outward, just highlight that, and I'll use my arrow keys to kind of push those in and out. So you can always play around with that as well. I'll go to -40 here. Or you can just do, as long as you have this layer selected, Command or Control T to transform it. You can always just kind of move it bigger and smaller that way. Alright, same thing with the subtext. I have, if you look at my move tool here, I'm going to click it up here, have auto select. So I'll kind of just tap that layer. Well, I got the vignette on, so it's okay. Just grab your text tool. As long as you see that text line, just click right there in soccer. Same thing, Command A, and I'll just say baseball. Actually, let's do softball, because that's what I'm about to put in. Here's the softball player. So I'll do softball. Same thing. If you want the text to be, you know, more narrow, not as wide, you can click in there, Command A, go to that character tool again. I have this at 600, so it's really kind of spread apart. So I can come back down, or I can spread it out even more. And your year down here, you can either use that for a year or maybe a class or something. I know I have that up here, but just subtext you can use for whatever. The one thing I like to do anytime I make changes to the text is I'll grab all three of these layers. What I'm doing is, here, I'll start it over again. I'm in the bottom text folder, and I'll click Team, and I'll hold Command or Control, and I'll type. And sorry, I'll click on the other two text layers here. I'll make sure they're all selected. I'll go up here to the Move tool, and if you see these, like, I don't know, alignment tools up here, I'll click this one right here. It looks like a little Christmas tree. You see it just kind of centers everything just perfectly. It's just me nitpicking, but I don't know. It's important to me, so I thought I'd share. So, all right, next we have subject. We'll skip that for now, because we'll drop somebody in. So let's go to top text. All that's going to work the exact same. I don't have a lot of effects on that other than color overlay. So that's really all we're doing there. If you want to add some more, you're more than welcome. Just double click that. You can always do a gradient here if you want as well. Just get in there and play with that. For this template, I felt like it just looked best with just solid color overlay. You can always add a drop shadow if you wanted. Just kind of do something cool like that. I don't know, I felt like it didn't need it, especially for the simple look, so I just kept it there. So yeah, you can get in here, and here I'll type the girl's name we're going to use. I'm going to go to, whoops, sorry. Just going to play with some of these. I can't remember if they'll do anything or not. Doesn't look like it. It's okay. So I'm going to keep it there. Let's see. Sometimes with these fonts you can kind of, make those join a little better. Here, I'll show you a trick that I like to do. So put the cursor right between, in this case, that M and that R. I'm going to hold Alt or Option and an arrow key, and you see how it starts to kind of join those two. It just slightly shifts those two characters together. I'm going to keep that there, and I will change the last name. Whoops, sorry. Change that last name. And as you see, the last name has a slight curve on the bottom and top. You can do the same thing as long as you have the whole name selected. Just go to this little T with the curve up here, and you can kind of change in this case it's the bulge effect. Have it doing a negative. You can go in here and just really get weird with that if you want. Or you can turn it off altogether, just set it at 0. I'm going to keep it at -5. And the young lady we're about to put in here is a senior. So I'll change that as well. And again, I'm going to go in here under the top text folder. Right now class is selected. I'm going to hold Command or Control. And I'm going to select the other two text layers. I'm going to grab the Move tool, and I'm going to come up here and just line them all up, center them. And there we go. Very, very, very simple. Alright, I'm not going to change my subject out yet. Let's just keep moving along. Actually, yeah, I will. So I'm going to open the subject folder, and as you see, here's our sample subject there. I'm just going to keep it there. Keep that layer selected. I'm going to grab the softball player, same school, slightly different color outfit. Their colors are primarily blue, and that's why I like the softball look, because it's a little darker with black and gray. I'm just going to use my transform tool and get her just the size I want. I personally like to slightly overlap the top text, just a little bit. Right, I want to hide that bottom subject. Now I have her there. Right, so the only effect I have going on in the subject folder is just this drop shadow, so you see a shadow behind her. Feel free to use it or cut it off, whatever fits your needs. So I'm going to keep her there. Again, this isn't absolutely perfect, but if I was doing this for a client, I'd probably spend a little more time. But just for tutorial purposes. Alright, so let's close that down, move on to, alright, this top text. Alright, so here's background. This is going to be just the background behind her. You can completely turn it off like that. Have it absolutely nothing. It's not going to get as plain and basic as that. Turn it on. Now what's included is these vertical lines, like these kind of arrow looking thing, and then I have a sample logo. You can just throw a logo into this same folder. Just make sure it's up here at the top where this one is. And as you can see with the mask, it's fading out at the bottom and the top, so it'll start to fade a little there. So with that said, I like to kind of make it bigger so you do see that fading effect on it. Me personally, I like stuff to run off the edges just a little, so I'd probably do something like that. I'll hide that, and I'll just turn this guy back on. And then last but not least is just the background color. So for this one, I'm just going to double click that background color. Let's grab this gray of her pants. I think that would look pretty good on this one. Oh, sorry. Let me go back up here to the background shapes again. So we still have some layers here, some effects. So same thing, you can do the solid color overlay or the gradient overlay. I have the drop shadow in here. It doesn't necessarily look that good with these lines. It just kind of creates this weird shadow behind it. This one, kind of the same thing. I really like it for the logos. That looks cool. You can also get in here. I don't have it as a part of the template, but it's okay. It's super easy. Just click that bevel. You'll get that bevel effect too on it. Again, it looks really good with the drop shadow, with that back logo, especially with a gradient on there as well. But that's getting a little more stylistic with it. So again, for this design, I really just kind of like either a gradient or a solid color. I want to keep it back on that gradient. I want to come back down here to the bottom text. I'm going to change that back to her school. The Knights. I'm going to Command or Control A to select all and come back to this characters panel, and I'm going to just kind of open that up a little more, not too much. Right there. I'm going to get out, just click out of it, and then I'm going to Command or Control T just to make the entire thing just a little bigger. And I'll use in the move tool right now, so I can just grab it, move it. I would hold Shift and then click it, move it. That keeps it on axis. It's not going to go all over the place like that. So if I hold Shift, it'll just go directly up and down. Whoops. Control Z. Right, just up and down. So I'll put it about right there. That's really about it. Actually, with this, I think I'm going to get very simple with it. I'm just going to do a solid color overlay. I want to turn off the bevel, turn off the drop shadow. Same thing with that back design. I'm just going to do a solid color overlay. And that is really it, guys. So have fun with it. Play around. If you have any questions, please feel free to hit me up, and I'll do my best to help you out. Thanks.